So for number two question, this is our number two, says an anhydride is a compound which has no water of crystallization, B, an oxide whose solution in water has a pH greater than 7, then C, an oxide whose solution has a pH less than 7, D, an oxide that has hydrogen atoms, E, amphoteric oxides. Okay, now, like how would I start? Would I start with explaining this concept first before we go to the question? Now, let me explain this concept. The concept here, when we talk about high, dry, there's one thing I want you to understand. It's a Latin word. This Latin means without, and this means water. So, what does it mean? That means that this is a compound that does not have what? Water. So, now let's carry on. And we now say that, now when we talk about anhydride in basic chemistry, it actually means that it's a compound, when added water, it will form another compound. Do you understand now? So it does not have water. So when you add water to it, it will form a compound. And when you talk about anhydride in your basic chemistry, they actually focus on an acid anhydride. An acid anhydride. So you should pay attention to it. An acid anhydride. That's what they focus on. That's what they pay attention to. So major things they are asking us here now is now what? An acid anhydride. Do you get that now? So what does it say? An acid anhydride. What does it mean? Any compound that will be added water to, and it will now form what? An acid. Did you get that now? So now, anything that has to do with an acid anhydride are always non-melters. They're always ozone ions that are formed when this is. So for example, now if you still have something like SO2, CO2, NO2, think actually, all of this now forms what? And even CO3 here. All these ones now, they form what we call acidic. They are an acid anhydride. Just and they are an acid anhydride. So they are the ones that once you add water to them, they are going to form what? They are going to form what? An acid. Do you understand that? They are going to form an acid. So there's another type of oxide you are going to see. This is an acid. Is acid oxides. Now this is, which is what? An acid anhydride, which I told you here. Then another one is a neutral oxides. These are the ones that does not even have any change in alkalinity. Even if you add water to them, nothing will happen. Something like your N2O, something like your CO. So those are the major ones. So now even NO, all these ones now they don't have any effects. And the last one is amphoteric. Amphoteric. These ones can react with acid and base. And majorly, these ones are majorly melter oxides. These ones are non-melter oxides. But this one have what? Melter oxides. Something like the Al2O3, which is aluminum oxide. All these ones are there. So with all this explanation, now let's go to my question. So a compound without that, which has no water crystallization. Okay, but now major thing they're asking us is what? An acid anhydride. So we've got into that. An oxide whose solution in water has a pH greater than 7. On my number one question, I told you that the pH or scale of acid is less than 7. It's less than 7. So it's less than 7. Then of base, which is alkalines, are what? Greater than 7. So this is out. Now, an oxide whose solution has a pH less than 7, which has a solution of less than 7. That means this one is also correct. This one is correct. Let's move on. An oxide that has a what? A hydrogen atom. An oxide that has a hydrogen atom. First, the oxide at first does not have a hydrogen atom. It's when this reacts with H2O, that is when you can now form what? H2SO4. Did you see it now? So now this does not actually have this thing at first. Is when it now reacts with water. That's when it will now have that. So this is out. Amphoteric oxide. I've actually explained to amphoteric oxide. I said amphoteric oxide is an oxide that can react with acid and what? Acid and base. And at the end of the day, you can see that I gave you an example of that. So our answer here is going to be what? So now, people will be asking, why is this one not the answer? Now, major ones is that first, it does not have this, but the major ones that suits this answer here we are looking for is your C. Do you understand now? It's your C. Thank you very much for also following number 2 questions. We're going to see number 3 question. Thank you, and remember.